to say, you'll be pleased to know. First up this morning is Ray. I did offer these slots to, before anybody thinks it's the Ray Adams show, it's not. I did offer these slots to O&M and Selected Pension, but they declined to do them, so I said, Ray, I'm sorry, we're going to have to look at your ugly mug for a little bit longer. So first up, Ray Adams is going to talk to you and clarify the issues as he sees it around APTA TVCs, and also to make sure that we are operating at the same, or we've got the same level of knowledge as we go into the rest of the day. So I'm sure you know him, ladies and gentlemen, Ray Adams.
Hi guys, thanks very much. As Al said, he offered this slot about TVC to some other software providers. Frustratingly, there's only 3 or 4, and I say 3 or 4, there's only 3 that we're aware of, which is CashCalc, Selected Pension, and O&M. I think there's a company called CTC who do work on TVC for some of the bigger providers. But if you're just normal IFAs, then your choice of TVC provider is fairly limited. So what I'm going to do today is exactly what you're not supposed to do on a presentation. I'm going to try and do it live and have some interaction. So I'm not just going to use PowerPoint presentation and just talk to you. I'd rather engage, if that's okay. Yep, are you happy with that, guys? Yes. I know you all haven't got a mic, but if I know you're talking to me, I know at least we're engaging. And I will be asking some questions, so hopefully everybody will be listening.
I need a bit of help with this laptop. There's something, this mouse is not working. I know it looks like I'm trying to rearrange it. It's because this trackpad isn't responding.
It's not a bad thing, Tom.
It's a great start, guys.
Yeah.
What I was going to do today is that we all use COBS, yes? Would it be fair? Did anybody here play football, play rugby?
Does Darren Reynolds use COBS?
Yeah, he's not here. So all of us here are using COBS, yes? But if anybody plays, you know, I'm from Wales, so we're rugby mad, but actually I don't read the rugby rule book. I just get told the rules, and you then play the game in the spirit of it. But if you do something wrong and you stamp on somebody's head, they bring the rule book against you and say that you've done something wrong against the rule book. And I guess that's what COBS are, really. Hand on heart, do we all read COBS, or do we just look at snippets of it? So today I was just going to look at COBS a little bit to see where the TVC has come from. Does that excite you? Okay, fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we can't do anything. This is just doing it.
Hang on. There we go.
So maybe they've got control up there. Have you got control?
Yeah, I think I'm back now.
So Tom works with me. He's been with me for 11 years.
O&M is taking control of your mouse.
Yeah.
I probably need to tell you that Tom joined me as an 18-year-old, and today, at 4 o'clock, he's catching a plane to Vegas to go on his honeymoon.
Stag do.
Oh, sorry, stag do, yeah, sorry. Yeah, he hasn't got
I've got to make it back to go on the honeymoon.
Okay, so I'm very delighted that Tom came up this morning to drive this presentation for me, and he's literally leaving straight here. What time's your flight?
Oh, not until 4.
4 o'clock,
Yeah,
okay. So half of my staff are actually going with Tom to Vegas. Do you want to bring on the next slide then, Tom? So I don't know whether you were all here yesterday or any new ones, but very, very briefly I'll tell you about me. We'll do a little bit of an introduction to APTA and TVC. So thanks for Al. I was a police officer for 12 years, but decided to go into financial services in 1996, set up Niche then. Wanted to try and be the best I could and got chartered status for myself and my firm. And in 2013, I looked at how we were given advice and whether we were advising on ISAs or pensions. And I decided cash flow planning was becoming more important. And I just decided at that point to develop my own software for myself. So we spent about 7 months developing it, and we launched it on the 28th of May 14. And have we got New Model Advisor here? I emailed New Model Advisor and a few other magazines. Most magazines completely ignored me, but New Model Advisor put an article in their magazine just saying that we developed some software, and we had 222 IFAs register that day. So I have a bit of a soft spot, not necessarily for Elliot, but certainly for New Model Advisor helping me to do that. So thanks very much. And the other trade press have actually gone on board and have helped us now to try and bring it to your attention. So we've got 66 billion funds being calculated at the moment. I find these sums a bit mad, really. I don't really know what a billion is. If you had to count to it, it would take you years just to get to that figure. But it's going up by about 5 or 6 billion a month because we're adding about 6,700 new clients are being added. Average case size, 534,000. So that'd be about normal. That's their pension and investments and money on deposit. So that would be fairly typical. But this year I had to develop a TVC tool. And actually, I didn't want to develop a tool. I was very happy just to stick at cash flow planning, but we were inundated with requests from our users saying, can you do a TVC? It seems a natural thing. And because of the inducement rules restricting some of the providers from doing TVAS and therefore TVC, I thought having 2 providers in the market for you to choose from was not a good choice, really. I've been in dialogue with the FCA to say, even though there's 3 of us now, I think there needs to be more. I think more people need to come to the market to give you guys more choice. You know, I don't think having the almost monopoly is good, really. So I'm going to show you how you can actually work out the TVC yourself if you want to. You said you did some mathematics yesterday, Rob?
Guilty, yeah.
Higher mathematics?
Uni.
Okay, we'll do it now. Okay, so let's next page. So the TVC is fairly simple. It's just a mathematical calculation. And are we all happy with our reasonable level of mathematics in you guys? Yeah. Yep, okay. The APTA, as you've probably heard, is your process. So we can't actually do all of that for you. All we can do is help you get it. Okay. COBS, yep, should we do COBS? Anybody know which COBS we're going to look at now? Actually, let's go to the policy statement number, PS 18.6, yep. So we're going to go to policy statement 18.6. There it is there. Can you do a control F, Tom? Got control of that mouse?
Nope.
Your brain is on.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Enough. Control F's not working, sorry, right?
Okay, so scroll on down then. We haven't got a control F. Let's get to see what it says TVC. I think it's section 3. Our response, section 3. Analysis and support. Keep going down. There's the APTA. It's the next one after that. Have you all read this, guys? Yeah? Do you want to just tell me which section it is?
That one there.
Excellent. Scroll on down to our response, please, Tom. 319 it is. Okay, so what we've got here, the TVC shows a comparison of the CTV and the estimated cost of acquiring. What happened there?
Sorry, I zoomed in.
Okay. Do you want to scroll it up, please, Tom? Our response, go on, you've lost it there. Our response, yeah, 309.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom and I work together all the time. I mean up, he means down.
Yeah.
Okay, there you are, stop, Tom. The TVC shows a comparison of the CTV and the estimated cost of acquiring the same promised income in a DC. Okay? Everybody happy on what we've got to do? Yes? Do we all know how to work it out? Okay, I've really switched them off now. COBS 19, please. Have you all looked at 19? Yes? Okay, so let's just scroll down this first bit. Bit of honesty now. Do you guys understand COBS, or do you look at it and it just makes your eyes glaze over? Okay, that's a brilliant response. Probably similar to me. Okay, so the first thing we need to do there is to work out the annuity interest rate. Not the annuity rate that you and I call the annuity rate, the annuity interest rate. And actually, we've got to do that by going over to COBS 13. Does anybody know what COBS 13 relates to? Yes, standard money purchase illustrations, which have been around for ages and ages. So there's an assumption we already know about that. So can we... There's COBS 13, and it's very simple. To get to the annuity rate, the level of fixed annuity is Y plus 3.5. Okay, so Y is half of ILG 0 and ILG 5. Anybody have any idea what ILG 0 and ILG 5 is? Sorry?
Index-linked gilt.
Index-linked gilt, 0 inflation. Index-linked gilt, 5% inflation. Times by a half means it's the average. So whilst it looks complicated, it's fairly simple. And those figures are currently around minus 1.61 and minus 1.6. So what we now have to do is minus another half. Do you want to do that for me, Rob?
I was drinking with the wrong people last time.
So minus 1.61 minus a half gets to minus 2.11. Are we happy on that? Yeah. Okay, and you're thinking, hang about, how can you have an annuity rate of minus 2.11? It gets better because you then have to round it to the nearest 0. Okay, so if it's minus 2.11, you have to round it to minus 2.2. Everybody with me? So that's the annuity interest rate. So I'm trying to show you how you don't need a TVC provider. You can work it out yourself, okay? Scroll up or down, whichever you call it, Tom. Oop. Okay. We've got to then put that annuity rate, annuity interest rate, into the mortality tables. Anybody know what? Okay, we've got to find out which mortality tables are first. 20, can you see that 20YY? Anybody know what that means? Two zero is 20. YY is this year. So all of that is saying is you've got to go, if the current year is 2018, minus 2, you look at the 2016 mortality tables. Everybody with me on this? I said it was just a basic mathematics, and I'm just showing you the mathematics. So when you actually give a TVC to somebody, at least you'd have a bit of an understanding where it comes from. Can you go back to 19, please? Tom? Okay, so scroll all the way to the bottom. So there's your... Did you see that expense then? Scroll back up. Sorry. Has everybody heard that you've got to do a 4% annuity expense? No, yes? Yep. Okay. So that bit there, the annuity expense allowance is 4%. Do you all charge 4% on an annuity? No? Okay. So, but that's something you've got to assume. And scrolling on it, please, Tom. Keep going up. Stop. So the product charge prior to the income coming into benefit is 0.75. Okay. So COBS, whilst it may look complicated, the information is there to do it. Okay, so probably most of you not necessarily read that in detail, but your compliance officer may have done that. And there's just a reminder there of the tables as well in COBS 19. Okay, so with that in mind, can we go over to CashCalc now and we'll look at the TVC? Is everybody happy how the mathematics just works, just step by step by step? Yeah? So we got to the annuity interest rate of minus 2.2. But in one of them, it said Y plus 3.5. So that's when you see on the assumptions page of Select a Pension or O&M or CashCalc, where it says the annuity interest rate of 1.3%. That's where it's come from. Yep, you happy with that? Yep. So you give these assumptions to the client, and I thought I'd actually just explain to you. Remember when you took your maths test in school and it said show your workings? Yeah. So even if you get it wrong, I'm just trying to show you your workings so you understand where it comes from. Al asked me to give you the basics of what the TVC is. So we're into the TVC now. Can we go back to the dashboard first? Okay. Go back to the client. Okay, so click on the green APTA, please. So what first thing we've done is that to try and help you guys, we've done an attitude to risk questionnaire. Do you all have an attitude to risk questionnaire? Okay. Or if you haven't, are you planning on getting an attitude to risk questionnaire? Now, I'm not saying this is perfect, but this is something that we've just put together. Do you want to just click on it, Tom? So this is something that we put together with Rory. So Rory gave us some ideas on it. Just, can you scroll through it? So just stop in each section. So what's the essential expenditure? So this is, you know, you can fill this in the client in an appendix to your fact find or give it to the client to do. Some of their goals and objectives. I think there's a specific section on our injuries, isn't there? Okay. So keep scrolling on through, Tom, until some questions. Your defined benefit contains inbuilt guarantees which are very valuable. Why are you considering transferring? The wording we chose with Rory was very important. We didn't want to give the impression that, why are you transferring your pension? Because there's a implication they'd already decided to transfer. So all of the questions are very, very neutral in that respect. Right. So this is there. It's available. You can just log on to CashCalc, do a 28-day trial, download this, and just use it, even if you then use a different system. And if you want to take some of that information and use it in your own fact find, that's absolutely fine. Don't scribble my name off and sell it, but use it for yourself. That's absolutely fine, okay? Do you want to go back to the TVC, please, Tom? And let's go into the TVC. Has everybody done a TVC? Yes? No? Not everybody. Okay. So what we've tried to do is have this information, which is exactly the same as the scheme information coming through. Yep. I've lost my pointer. No, it's not, because I put my finger in front of it. Don't put your finger in front of a pointer. It doesn't work. Okay, so date of joining, date of leaving, data calculation, normal retirement age, everything fairly basic there, guys? Anything you don't understand? Happy with that? Let's go on to pension benefits, Tom. This fairly obvious to you guys? Yeah, anything you're not expecting there? Okay, so post-88 GMP, change that death benefits there to 40, Tom. So actually it won't let you do it, because actually post-88 GMP has got to be at least 50% benefits. That's written in the rules, okay? So we've just tried to help you, and depending on the date of leaving, again, we've just tried to help you with some of that information. So once you've put that in, scroll up, Tom, so you can see. In this case, they wanted to retire early, and there's an early reduction factor, and there's a commutation rates. But if you go back to scheme information, please, Tom. And untick commutation and change it to desired age of 65. Desired age of 65. And then go to the pension benefits. It's just a much cleaner, simpler page. So what we tried to do is not clutter it up with you, just to try and make it nice and easy for you. Do you want to go back and put them in, please, Tom? So if your client's normal retirement age of 60, would it be fair to say many clients are considering transferring to retire early? Would that be fair? Yep. Okay. Sorry?
Take benefits, not necessarily retire.
Perfect. Yeah, take benefits early. Okay, so once you put that information in, it's not that detailed. TVC results, please, Tom. Okay, so there's your TVC results. So you've got your benefits of date of leaving, an approximate revaluation to today. Got a bit of a styling issue there as we've taken it from the laptop to here, but 13,241. We've been working with Selector Pension and O&M to try and get consistency, and I think you'll find that we're pretty much identical on those situations. So behind the scenes, in theory, competitors, but we are talking to each other to try and get consistency and confidence in the software. Do you want to scroll up, please, Tom? So on the right-hand side, we've got the bars you've seen. The critical yield with a bit of an explanation, but the critical yield is not part of TVC as a requirement, so it's an optional extra. So when you print the report, you can include it or not include it. You've got the capitalized death benefits, and then you've also got an approximate lifetime allowance usage. When I was talking to you about showing your workings, if you can just expand one of those lifetime allowances, please, Tom. So if you just click on the second one down. Okay, so again, just showing you how the lifetime allowance usage is there, really. Just trying to help you. If you have any questions from your client, That's there available. And when it's printed into the report, the expanded version is printed into the report. And again, can you expand it with the PCL letters, please, Tom? Oh, sorry, you have done already.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so just scroll back up, please. So that there in a nutshell is the FCA requirement of a TVC. We'll talk about the discount rates, etc. But actually, you could go and have a look, and what we've done is just as an extra, we've done desired retirement age of 60. So it just shows you what the TVC would be using the mortality tables. And do you want to just go to PPF, please, Tom? And on PPF as well, we've changed the colors. Those colors are actually the colors from the PPF website, just for a little bit of attention to detail. From my experience, lots of clients have actually said, the PPF is the end of the world. I don't want to go into the PPF. Happened a lot with the British Steel guys. They'd been led to believe that it was the end of the world. Actually, the value of the PPF benefits is £383,000. So may be useful to you to demonstrate that they might not need to be worrying unnecessarily. Yep. Any questions on that so far?
Can you run a TVC post NRD? Can you run a TVC post NRD?
So the question for people at home is, can you run the TVC post NRD? Well, actually, according to PS 18.6, you don't need to, okay? But we've built the system to allow that. The truth is, we didn't do that initially, but there was a guy based in Winnipeg who was emailing us, telling us he couldn't work it out. And I was emailing back saying, you don't have to. Anyway, I didn't argue. We had feedback from him, and we've added that functionality in response to Rob's suggestion. Okay, so does that answer your question?
Yes, it's scheme-specific or generic?
No, scheme-specific, because it offers you the chance, the late retirement calc, to either do it by a particular percentage or by a factor.
Yeah.
Let's get
The
both
fact
of those in.
as per the scheme.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So you can get that and it works. And it does work.
I let him answer because he was the actual one who spoke to my geeks, and it's my technical experts to actually put it in.
Can I ask something, actually?
Yes?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge in this, and the greatest danger that exists in this, is that people will, because it doesn't really represent the real cost of annuity, you could argue it's not, the assumptions aren't what's actually going to happen in practice. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a great danger, is there not, that some advisors use that as a way to sort of get people through it fairly quickly. Is that unfair?
So for the people at home, what Rob has asked, is there a danger because it's such a high number and it might not necessarily represent the real life? Is there a danger that people will just skim over it and dismiss it? I guess my view of that is, yes, that could happen. Okay, it depends how you position it and explain it. And one of the things that Al wanted me to do today was to almost give you a step-by-step breadcrumb of what it is. So you at least knew where this number come from, rather than just saying the TVC number is a load of rubbish. Okay? Because one of the things I was going to do now was talk about it. And I'm not here to defend the FCA, but I think there may be somebody from the FCA here today. In fact, yesterday, the FCA actuary was here. A lady called Sandra, and they are responsive. They came here listening, and if there's somebody in the audience there, I won't ask you to put your hand up in case you're deluged, but please grab me later on and let's talk later on. So I'm not here to defend the FCA, but I'm very happy to have a dialogue around the discount rates, etc. And if we collectively, 50 to 100 people, are giving some feedback, I would say that's probably going to be reasonably powerful and weighted feedback to give the FCA. Would that be fair? Yeah. So I'm happy to have that discussion. Can you go back to benefits at normal retirement age, please, Tom? Yeah, no, sorry, the TVC results.
Sorry.
Yeah, but just we're on PPF at the moment. Can you just scroll up so we can see what the discount rate is? Okay, so the discount rate for this client, the critical yield is assuming 0.57% annual charge. And do you remember where that came from? COBS 19, yes? Yep, so there's a first bit of information you might be given to the client. You know where it's come from. The discounting rate of 1.48%. Are we all comfortable on where that comes from, or do you want to just discuss that a little bit more? Or should we leave that for a later session? Sorry?
Let's do it now, Ray.
Yeah? Yeah, absolutely. So for the AIR, we had to look at ILG 0 and ILG 5, yes? Shall we go back to COBS 19? I'm not letting the cat out of the bag because there was an article in Money Marketing yesterday from Jason from O&M pointing out one of the problems. Did anybody read that? Yep. So where's the point in COBS which says about discount rate, value in future benefits? Can you scroll on down? Oh, you can't do COBS F. COBS. It's COBS 13. Is it COBS 13 or 19, Dave?
19.
Sorry?
19.
19. Where in 19 is it?
4C 2R.
Oh, flipping heck. Were you in the bar last night?
Who's
or
that?
Were you doing something else? 4C 2R. Okay. You up with that, Tom?
Yeah, I've got 2.
Are we happy with this? Where are we there now? No, keep going, keep going, keep going. Are we on the right place? Are we? Dave, do you want to just give Tom a shout? What's that? There you go. Okay, I can see it now. Can everybody see that? Yep. The rates of return for value and future income benefits between the date of calculation comes with, is the fixed coupon yield on the UK FTSE Actuaries Index for the appropriate term. What date have we got to get that from? Can anybody see what date we've got to get it from? Yes, no? There's no date. So what I'm actually pointing out here, which is what Jason wrote in Money Marketing yesterday. Unfortunately, there's just a few ambiguities in this section of COBS. So for the last couple of weeks, myself, Selector Pension, and O&M are trying to email each other so we can have a little bit of commonality. Because when we were looking at the AIR, we had to do the 15th of the month. We had to do the average of the last 3 months, and we have to publish it on the 6th month. It was very specific. But on this occasion, it's actually not quite specific. And actually, that's going to be addressed by the FCA, and they're just going to clarify that now. It's not a huge thing. There's only three or four TVC providers. Not that difficult for us to get our heads together. But you've got to use the UK FTSE Actuaries Indices. Does anybody know roughly what those rates are? Anybody want to have a stab at them? Okay, so let's go back to CashCalc, please. Okay, so for this client's term to retirement, they're 1.48. And that is the risk-free return. Now, would you say that is reasonable in the current market, or it's wrong?
I think the point is that the scheme is taking the risk, not the client taking the risk.
Yep.
Therefore, it's deemed to be a risk-free rate of return.
Yeah.
Therefore, hence, what the long-term gilt rate.
Yeah. So actually, what it's saying is that within the scheme, they take all the risk. As soon as you move it out, without you taking any equity risk or any nature, if you go into long-dated gilts, it's replicating where you've just come from. Yes? And that's the view of the FCA, and I'm sure we can give some feedback on that. But if that's the case, for this particular client, it's 1.48%. If you then take off 0.75, Rob, maths?
Well, it's
0.73?
yeah.
Okay, so we've got a 0.73 return, and of course there's a 4% annuity charge as well. So what does that suggest? Go on, sorry.
It was my fault for missing the beginning of it. Why are we using an assumed...
Can I just hand you the microphone before you start asking the question?
Yeah. Well, I can talk more loudly if that helps.
No, microphone's good.
Sorry, first of all, apologies because I just missed the beginning of the session, but why are we using a 0.75 assumed annual product charge and a 4% annuity purchase charge if that's not what is relevant to the client as we do with the, what's now an APTA, but the TVAS?
Okay. Yeah, it's a shame you missed the start because we've answered that at the start. Okay. But just to remind, in case anybody at home was asleep, so that's in COBS, it's in PS 18.6, it's in COBS. If you move, you have to assume a 0.75% annual management charge and a 4% annuity charge.
And so in that case, I mean, from an FCA point of view, the FCA has been clear for all the TVASs that we've done up to they became an APTA, is you cannot use assumed charges when calculating benefits on the transfer of a seeding scheme to PP. You have to use the charges that are relevant to where it's going.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we've got to do in APTA when we talk about APTA. So for the moment, we're talking about TVC, and we have to do this for TVC. Is everybody happy with that? Have to do it with TVC to show the client this is a simple mathematical calculation, completely non-personalised. I didn't go into PS 18.6, but it clearly says it must be non-personalised. You have to assume the member is married, and if the member is a female, you have to assume that the partner is male and 3 years older. And if the members are male, you have to assume they have a partner who's a female and she's 3 years younger. It has to be completely standard. Okay? Okay, so 1.48, take off 0.75. What does that say to you? Is this going to be growing much in real terms? No. Okay. So actually, whatever the capitalized value is, what are the benefits to buy? And if many of you have used Selector Pension, there was a very useful page, about page 5, which said the cost to buy an annuity at your normal retirement date is £800,000. Have you seen that figure, guys? Yes? On your TVAS reports? So that's the capitalized figure to buy the benefits at scheme retirement age. And that's the bit which we're discounting back to get to the blue TVC. But the problem is, if your discounting back is less than 1%, actually you're not discounting back hardly at all. Which I know that's, Dave Penny, that's a point that you've raised quite vocally on Twitter, yes? Yeah. I agree with the low discount rate at all. Sorry, you said you don't agree with the low discount rate? No. Okay.
I also think if you're going to assume...
Dave, do you mind if I just pass you the microphone first?
Yeah.
Come on, Al. You can't hang about in the corner.
Be cool, man. Be cool.
He said, don't walk along the back, Al.
If it's a hypothetical risk-free return, I mean, in reality, no one is going to actually invest in long-dated gilts for 15 years when they transfer to a SIP. So it's a hypothetical scenario. I don't think 0.75% product charges should be deducted from that if it is a hypothetical scenario that would never be replicated in real life.
Okay, okay, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. This is a TVC to show them, to use this gentleman's phrase, the risk-free return. Isn't that something we can cover in APTA?
It is, but I mean, my problem with it is the number's so high that it just becomes meaningless.
What's people's thoughts on that? Do we want to have a quick show of hands? Do we agree that we think it's meaningless? Show your hands now. Okay, and do we think actually it does reflect a fair risk-free return? Can we have a quick show of hands there now? I don't know, that was fairly similar for me. Would you say that seemed to be about the same? Okay. So I think it's something that probably needs to be discussed in a panel session, but definitely at the moment, if we were to take that forward, 490,000, actually that's not far off the true capitalized value at normal retirement age. This person's got 10 years to go, so we're not really reflecting 10 years of growth. I do get that, Dave. Okay. Right, if you can just scroll down, please, Tom. Once you've done this, and you can do this with Selector Pension, O&M, or as at the moment, you can just create a TVC report. Now, you can either just do a compact report, which actually is exactly in accordance with... do you want to do that, Tom, quickly? Exactly in accordance with PS 18.6, so it just shows the TVC. I'll quickly do that. Okay, so there's no assumptions shown on there. It's literally the benefits, the date of leaving, revalued, and then the TVC at the end. Okay? If you go back and do me a full report, so now you can just print a full one. And now this is going to include critical yields. It's going to include lifetime allowance charge. It's going to include the PPF, early retirement, all of the discount rates. So you use it however you want. Okay? So it's got much, much more detail. But can we go back to the CashCalc, please? Now, at this point here, guys, if you just close that up, there's a button in the center called Export TVC Data. We don't need to do anything there. I'm very happy if you just want to use the TVC for us. And there was a show of hands yesterday, and at least 50% of the audience like a little bit more of a complex cash flow planning tool. Just take the data and go and use whatever tool you want. You know, Truth has been around a long time, very, very good system. Same with Voyant. I4C seems to be a very good system as well. You know, you can just use the TVC, export the numbers out, and build your APTA with them. Is everybody okay with that? Is there anything else you want to discuss on TVC, or have we covered the basics of TVC before I just link across and show you the basics of APTA? But the APTA section is going to be much quicker because it's so personalized. I was just going to give you a snippet. Is there anything else you want on TVC, guys?
Yeah, I'll pass the microphone to you. Hold on.
Sorry, Al.
That's all right, mate.
One quick question on the LTA.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're just going for base figure. You're not fixed, enhanced, primary, individual.
Correct. You're correct. You know,
and
that's
you
something
see
that
no other benefits taken elsewhere?
Sorry?
And you see no other benefits taken elsewhere?
For this TVC here, this TVC is on one scheme.
It's standalone on that one.
Yeah, but you can obviously produce another one. So you could just go to options, please, Tom. Just do create new report, new forecast, and you can just do test new one. Okay, and to save me even typing it, if you just do a drop down and copy it across, Tom. Okay. Okay, so go back and options now, Tom, and view all of them. So now you've got two in there. So you could have 2 different schemes or 3 different schemes, 4 different schemes. So each TVC would be individual.
Yep.
But of course, when you get to building the APTA, you might want to bring the data in from the one TVC, the data in from another, the data in from another to build your personalized advice. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's my question. Thanks.
Okay. You've got to do a little bit of mathematics yourself. So it doesn't add them all together. Come on, guys, you've got to do something. Yeah. You know, I was saying on the panel yesterday, I don't think software should do everything for you. It's just a tool to help you do your job. I don't want to take away the responsibility if you know what advice you're given. Okay, so can we go to the APTA process? Okay, so with the APTA process now, we've gone from my presentation which said the TVC is a simple mathematical calculation and the APTA is your process, your framework. So what we've tried to do here is just give you some breadcrumbs and say, these are the points which have come up in PS 18.6. If you follow these, you will complete a compliant process. But you've got to do it compliantly. And I'll show you what I mean now. There's a quick guide at the top. Can you see that blue bar there? That's something we put together with Rory. There it is there. Again, you can just register for a free trial for us. Go and download that and use this by all means yourself. Okay? So this is, just stop at any page, Tom. You know, so point 7, plan for a reasonable period beyond average life expectancy. So that's something which came up. You can't just say ONS says they're going to die at 82, so we'll plan for 82. You've got to go for a reasonable period beyond it. But it doesn't say 5 years or 10 years. This is just a framework. Okay, guys? So you can just take that guide off and just have it on your desk, and at least you know you're following the process. Right at the end, the last page, I've actually said, and I don't know whether you've done it, and this is not the Rory Roadshow neither, and I'm not on any sort of introducer, but I just think Rory's report is very good. And I've said to him, as mentioned right at the start, I think it's a good report. And if you want a new framework in your firm, it might be worth you looking at it. Go back to CashCalc, please, Tom. You might need to close some of those up.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds.
That's okay. Have we been logged out?
Yeah.
Any questions whilst Tom is doing that and just taking us back to the APTA process? I've been up here just over 30 minutes, so we've got about 10 minutes just to cover off on APTA, if that's okay. Any questions so far, guys? So if you can go to the APTA process now, you don't need to open the Quick Start Guide, we've just done that. So again, if you can't be bothered to read the Quick Start Guide, there's a little tool tip. Can you just mouse above inflation, Tom? Okay, so that was something which came up in the panel discussion yesterday. So it says in COBS you have to have it. So at this point, we've just graded out and set it at 2.5 to stop you or any of your advisors inadvertently making a mistake. If you look at the growth rate, please. Again, it says what COBS says. I don't think we want to read that. If you click next, please, Tom. So what we've tried to do now is you've built your TVC. You can then either input the client's incomes and expenditure, or depending on which system you use, you can send out and get the client to do it. That's what we tend to do. We email a secure link to the client, and the client gives their income and expenditure. So this is just an example client where we've guesstimated some information. So let's import their data there, please, Tom. We can continue without importing because we've tested this before we started this morning. Again, so the assumed growth rate, can you mouse above the question mark at the top? That's exactly what COBS, under that note, that should say in CP 1716 they consulted. So there's a bit of one of my technical guys has written the wrong thing. Okay. If you would be okay there, Dave, when we were talking yesterday about different assumptions, this is where, can you mouse off there, please, Tom? This is the charges. Does that answer your question about the actual charges? Thank you. Yep, so this is now in the APTA section. So we're assuming those sort of charges. If you click next. So the Aviva pot is a separate pot they've got. The TVC is the 250. So if you mouse above the TVC, that can't be amended because you've already put that into the TVC and it's been brought in. But of course, the 150 is a separate DC pot they've got. If you click next. Now we've got their salary. They're aiming to finish work at 60. And then there's the pension here, which has been brought from the TVC. And can you see the inflation rate of 3.052? That's the exact escalation rate for that scheme, which has been brought through. You could, if you wanted to, just click on desired at 60, please, Tom, there, just above you. And it changes the figures to 8, so it's bringing the TVC information through from there. If you click on PCLS, please, Tom, it actually brings the PCLS figure through from the TVC as well. Untick that. And if you go to the quick add, please, Tom, what you could do here is add state pensions. We know what the state pensions are, so assuming they're the maximums, you can just, the basic state pension, just add that. It very quickly adds his and hers state pensions. And actually go back to quick add. We've just literally done that. See the DB incomes from another TVC? Remember we just typed in the test one? We did that a few minutes ago for the gentleman behind you. Yep. So this is where you can bring in multiple TVCs into your APTA. Okay? We're not going to bring any others in at the moment, so just close that. So as you can see at the top, you've got assumptions, savings, incomes, and there's just a breadcrumbs through. So we click next, please, Tom. You can do this in your own cash flow provider. You don't have to use ours. But this is the sort of framework which you follow it, the expenses, and through the charges. There you go, so the charges would put in, and if you just go next and let's generate some forecasts. In this situation, we're going to generate forecasts, which is retiring now, at 60 and 65. So let's just generate them. And what we've got on the left-hand side is the current situation. Keep your DB in place and retire at 65. And on the right-hand side is transfer the pension. You can see the lighter blue is the new DC pension. And there's a very, very quick comparison. Before you've personalized everything, they're going to run out of money very quickly to try and achieve their goals by staying. There's still a risk they're going to run out of money later on, but it may be a risk they want to do. If you just go through to the cash flow modeler, please, Tom. So So once we've built that, you can just link straight over to the cash flow. And if you go down to cash flow model, please, Tom. Okay, so there's that example of the, go money in versus money out, please, Tom. So there's your expenditure line. If you mouse above the orange at the bottom, so there's the DB in place. And if you slide to the right, please, on the DB in place, Tom. Do you remember the escalation rate of the pension was slightly greater than inflation? Because it's scheme specific. You can see in real terms it's going up slightly above inflation. But above it, then, you've got his and her state pensions. Not quite up to their desired income in retirement, and they run out of money fairly quickly. So they can't afford their Orangery or their Lamborghini in that situation. If you scroll down, please, Tom. Sorry, scroll up. And click on the transfer, the same example, but transferring. As you can see now, there's only 2 guaranteed incomes in retirement, his and her state pension. The Wesleyan pension has been transferred away. But if you go to money in versus money out, please, Tom. What you've now got is that the light blue, and if you mouse above that, that's your Wesleyan transfer value, potentially runs out at the assumptions we've done at 82. And it's for you to then go on and personalize your APTA. Does that give you a flavor of what the TVC does and link into APTA? Any questions of me so far? Because I don't want this to be just going in and building a complete one. I just wanted to give you an idea of what you do TVC into APTA.
So the assumptions, yeah?
Yep.
Because you were talking earlier about exporting to, so I'm being a bad boy, I'm speaking with a mic. You're exporting to a different cash flow model. You need to make sure you have consistent assumptions coming through.
Yeah, correct, yeah. So what we'd export is the basic TVC.
Yes.
Once it's in APTA, you use whatever assumptions you want. Any other questions, guys? I'm very conscious that I've taken...
That's great.
Well, I'm exactly on time now.
Spot on.
Any other questions, guys?
Fascinating.
It's just a kind of question/request. Is it possible to get a mock-up as part of the APTA that you've done, that you've been showing, or is that?
So this is Michael from one of the newspapers. Yes, he wants a mock-up. We'll just supply that to you very shortly. If you just grab Joseph on my stand. Joseph will do that for you, okay? Okay, guys, thanks very much. I'm done. Oh, sorry.
I've got a quick question about tax. So your APTA on that screen there,
Yeah.
the pension going down the blue, I'm assuming that's based on the gross income?
Yeah, if you go back...
The pension would run out quicker if we take into account this tax?
If you go to that, go back to the APTA. Go back to the APTA process, please, Tom. And let's go back to the income section. At this point here, these pension incomes brought through a gross. Yeah. So they're editable for you there. Okay, we've got another little calculator which you can just link across to and do it if you want to, and just put it in there. Or you can amend it as we were discussing yesterday. Okay? And that's where you build your personalised one.
Ray, fantastic. Thanks ever so much. Big hand for Ray.
Right, thanks, guys.
Sit down, Ray.